Jesus, why are you so angry? Cave geckos. They're a little bit of a niche pet that not many people own or work with. So I'm sure you're going to be as surprised as I was to hear that there's actually big drama going on in the cave gecko world right now. Exactly is that drama? Well, you probably know the game by now. Stick around while we dive into this new supposed cave gecko morph and who was actually the first one to do it. Let's get into it. I know I promised you guys like a year ago I would stop doing the drama videos, and I really had every intention to do that. Fact of the matter is, I learned about this supposed morph at about October. However, after talking a little bit and diving a little bit into it for about a week, I kind of was pretty easy to snuff out that, well, the whole thing was really bullshit. I'm actually good friends with who the original person is that developed this pattern into cave geckos, but after talking to him, he really didn't seem to care whatsoever. And you know, if the original creator doesn't care and this guy wants a bit of an ego boost, you know, creating the first morph for cave geckos, or this thing of cave geckos, who am I to do it? You know, who am I to call him out? Hey, we'll just let bygones be bygones. That's how it really was going to be. But it wasn't until this kid personally shared a post that then goes to the Josh's Frogs page that showed pretty much what I can surmise is him getting his followers to personally attack Josh's Frogs because they quote unquote stole the credit for his morph. You're like me and you know it's complete bullshit, and you're having people attack someone like Josh's Frogs. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair one bit. Here's the thing, I know both of these people. I've been doing business with Josh's Frogs going on for about 4 years now, and I'm good buddies with the original person of this thing. I know these people, they're high standard people, man. They don't want to go down in the mud and start this little pity war of who did who first. Yeah, they're good people. I'm not one of those. I'm going down in the dirt. Today, boys and girls, we are setting the record straight. We're going to be figuring out what the heck even is this thing, who actually did it first, and then number 3, my personal thoughts of, is this even a genetic mutation, or are we all really just wasting our time? Starting off with the first thing in hand that we probably need to know is, what the heck am I even talking about? What is this great thing that is causing all this drama? Well, here's pretty much the summarize of what really this thing is. So you have your average cave gecko, right? An average cave gecko is going to be a black gecko with 3 yellow stripes, and that's pretty much what makes up a cave gecko. However, what this does is basically change the patterns from 3 stripes to like a oval circle thing. So instead of the 3 bands, you got like 1 band and an oval or a half oval. That's it. At one point, he was charging $10,000 for that. That is what the fuss is all about right now. Let's move on to the juicy stuff, number 2. Now that we know what we're talking about, let's move on to number 2. Who made this thing first, actually? First time this thing hit the spotlight, it was from Cave Kid Geckos. He's the one that first started talking about this new pattern changing thing, claims it as an incomplete dominant morph that he was the first producer of. Went so far as to get it Morph Market certified. So Morph Market, you can look at this new line, which the Lin QS, something along those lines, Line QS, I believe he calls it. And you'll see Morph Market, you'll see the trait of this cave gecko, and that Cave Kid Geckos was the producer of this trait. Some pretty bold claims, boys and girls. Is the first producer of it, and it is now Morph Market certified. We'll get into that little topic a little bit later into the video. So that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to get the number game going. Okay, so if you did produce it first, let's get the years that it was produced, when it was proven, and then we'll backtrack from there with the other 2 contestants that we have to talk about. Asking Cave Kid Gecko some questions going on, he stated that he was first proven this year, 2023. When I asked how long he was working on the project, he started snuffing me out and getting a little bit arrogant in my opinion. Pretty much just, I'm paraphrasing, I believe it was, "You're interested in this project, huh? Follow me. I got a podcast coming soon." I'm like, okay, guy. It was after that I was really sold. I've been working on that one comment, boy. That one comment. I've been working on a month on this thing. Just because of that thing alone, I was like, alright, now I'm really gonna put you in the oven. You know at least one thing. He first produced this trait. First production was going out in 2023. How long he's actually been working on the project? Well, I can't really say. He told me to follow the page. However, after looking through his page, and I did, nothing on it. There's no actual concrete information on how long he's been working on the project leading up to proving this out. So I don't really have the context, and I can only just summarize by the lack of context is that he paired 2 geckos together, got this trait, and now it's proven out. It's pretty much the only thing I can come with the context I have right now. So hearsay, we know at least for concrete information from the horse himself, 2023 was the first proven baby from Cave Kid geckos. This is now where we then get into contestant number 1, who I believe was the original producer of this gene, or trait, whatever you really want to call it. And that man is the man himself, Richie from the Gecko King. For my followers out there, you probably know Richie pretty well. I do a lot of business with him. He has a high reputation in the rare gecko world when it comes to his business. And rewind a little bit, right? So we're gonna go this, so it's the complete saga of the Cave Kid, short and sweet, not much to talk about, and now this is the saga of Richie. Now when the Cave Kid first came to me, he was going to give me a free Line QS cave gecko. I believe something happened, maybe he sold one, maybe he was trying to sell them for a higher dollar, so he actually rescinded that offer and decided not to send me a baby at all, which is actually how the conversation first started. I just find this so funny. If this guy never came to me to begin with, I would never have figured, I would never know about this, I would have never dived into this, and I would never have been making this video. It's just funny how things play out sometimes. That's what actually got the ball rolling. At an expo, me and Richie were at, actually came up to him, I started talking to him a little bit. I was like, hey, you do cave geckos, I see you got some Japanese, you got some Chinese caves going on. What did you see about this? See about this new thing, Morph Market certified? And he kind of scoffed at it. He was like, oh, that aberrant? I suck with words, I'm sorry. That aberrant pattern, and it kind of just pushed it off. So I was like, yeah, okay, I kind of get it, it's not nothing really cool, he doesn't really like it that much, okay, whatever. But it wasn't till later on, when scrolling Morph Market like I do on the daily to try to afford geckos that I really don't have any money for, is when I found one of those geckos, the Line QS. I believe the price on that at that point was like $3,000. It kept going down. I hear larger and larger more prices as I go further with other people, but at this point, I believe it was around $3,500. And so I sent him a picture of that on the Facebook Messenger. I was like, damn, dude, I didn't know they were selling for that much. And that's when the guy started opening up to me a little bit. And Richie decided to let me in on what was going on, that he claims that he was the first one to actually produce this morph, or trait. He marked it off as an aberrant pattern and was wholesaling them out instead of like the usual 150 or whatever they were going at that time. He was selling them for like 200, just a little bit extra because it's just a little bit more of a random pattern. He's been doing it for years and years, as he claims. So it was at this point where I kind of just chalk it up to, well, Richie doesn't really care. I've talked to him a couple of times. He really just doesn't give a shit about it. And so I was like, okay, this kid, small guy, wants to be a big name. He's got the new trait. Richie doesn't care. Let him take credit. Who really cares, right? But then later on in the conversation, when I start digging just a little bit more, because I wanted to prove that out, just for some peace of mind, right? I wanted to see, okay, so is Richie the first one to do it, or is this kid the first one to do it? And it was at that point when the kid sent me the Josh's Frogs post showing all of his followers attacking Josh's Frogs for quote-unquote stealing the credit for the morph. That's when, number one, I really started getting interested into this and trying to make a documentary video, or just saying setting the record straight, I guess is the best way to phrase it. Number two, that is when a second contestant came into this picture. But before we get into the Josh's Frogs part, let's wrap up the Richie saga. So I started talking to Richie a little bit more and more, trying to get some more info out of him, and I wanted concrete proof. I wanted him to show me that he produced this before, what his timeline is versus what the Cave Kid gecko is. Because remember, his timeline is 2023 produced. That's when Richie gave me a picture of 2019, when the same pattern, same looking pattern, is pretty much there in a baby. Which then we can summarize that 2019 was the first one at this point with concrete proof that was produced. So I mean, right off the bat, it just cuts him down, right? 2023, 2019. So there you go, video's over, right? Well, not exactly. Kid seems to be just slightly vitriolic. I've talked a little bit in the cave gecko community, and he doesn't seem to be, he's not the nicest sport. Doesn't play well with others, if you say. The cave gecko community seems to be really open-minded, especially when you talk about it. I find it very similar to toki geckos, right? Very small people doing it. So we're trading geckos, trading bloodlines, trying to prove stuff out, doing co-projects, things of that nature. It's a very tight niche community, right? Well, the Cave Kid's not really about that, right? He's a little standoffish, dick. Fuck. With that foresight in mind, that I wanted to go a little deeper. I didn't want him to chalk it up with my friendship of Richie for how long have we've been friends and doing business together, that I'm just taking Richie's side, and I'm just bumping my friend with my following, and I'm attacking the smaller guy. I did not want that to be a thing. So old Detective Dakota took it one step further. I went to Josh's Frogs. After a week of trying to get into that section of space, I finally networked enough to be able to get the phone number of someone that directly works in the animal department and the reptile department of Josh's Frogs. And however, while I did let them know that I was and had intentions of making this video, I did not get express permission to use their name in this video. And so it's with that, they will be nameless. If they want to put their name and credit in the comment section, I'll pin it for them. But until then, you know, I'm not here to out anybody. If they want to remain anonymous, I just didn't get that permission, so I don't want to step on any toes over here. Just to add some context into this, while yes, I've been doing business with Josh's Frogs for a while and I respect the business, they don't know who I am. We don't have a relationship, me and Josh's Frogs. The funny thing is, it was actually, they thought the exact opposite was going to happen when I requested to get some information with them. Believed I was actually on the Cave Kid Gecko side and I was here to start bullying Josh's Frogs and make a hit piece about them. Little did they know it was the exact opposite. Luckily, I got some friends up there that are buddies with Josh's Frogs. They ended up vouching for your boy, and so I was able to get a phone number and have a nice phone conversation with one of their people. Now, this phone conversation went on for about an hour, and I'm not going to go into each and every detail, but to summarize it, what I found is they've been working on this project for somewhere around 5 to 6 years, somewhere around 2017. They do believe that they got their cave geckos from Richie. However, it's from my understanding that lineage tracking as far as where the offspring came from, what breeder it came from, wasn't really too much of a thing back then. They're doing a lot better work at these days, so there's no concrete for sure that it came from Richie, but at the end of the day, they do a lot of business, so we can only summarize that, you know, you put two and two together, they probably came from Richie. It's also prudent to note, I forgot to say, Richie does believe that he actually sold geckos to the Cave Kid. Unfortunately, he's not able to confirm that information because the Cave Kid has blocked Richie on everything. I can only surmise the reasoning behind that is from what you can see right here, and that's because of the fact that I guess people that also give a shit about this are telling this kid straight, you know, Richie made this isn't your proven thing. Richie's been doing this for a while, and so we just maybe put those arguments to bed and just, you know, put that little dude in a box and put him over there. You know, out of sight, out of mind, I guess, is the Cave Kid's goal in mind right now. Or again, it's all anecdotal evidence. I never saw screenshots, so who knows? What I can surmise out of all of this is, well, the Cave Kid didn't do it first. From something that I can see, even if he didn't directly get animals from Richie, the fact of the matter is Richie wholesales a lot of Chinese cave geckos, and with cave gecko blood not being too rich, not a lot of people are breeding this species. Even if he didn't directly buy from Richie, the fact of the matter is most of these guys have these cave geckos from Richie, and with Richie only seeing this trait, you know, this pattern being an aberrant pattern, it can only surmise that that's getting put into the bunches of the wholesales and putting that blood of the, you know, line QS out there into the world. It's something a lot of us need to keep in mind. Now, I understand why some of his followers did get upset, you know, quote unquote, you know, attack Josh's Frogs, because at face value, you know, what you're seeing is big corporation, you know, Josh's Frogs, conglomerate, taking down the little guy, you know, stealing the morph and making it their own. But at the end of the day, what you gotta imagine is, you know, Josh's Frogs isn't a person, you know, it's an entity, it's a corporation. What's really happening is a bunch of employees are working with those animals, and from what I surmised with my phone conversation is a lot of those people that have actually been doing the right stuff. Now, I think it's prudent to put some context in what does proving a morph really mean. You know, we can take Oddball, my Tokay gecko. I went through the right steps into that. The first thing I did was not make a batch of Oddball babies and then claim I was the first one. First thing I did is went around the community. I took pictures of this Tokay gecko. I tried to see if people were working with this morph, who was working with it, what it is, what kind of morph it is, what the genetic mutation, how does it play with each other, and so on with that context. It wasn't until then that I decided to move forward with proving that animal out. Now, we do have offspring from Oddball. I don't even show those babies. I showed it when it first hatched. We haven't showed anything off between that. That's a little secret for old Dakota, and it's not until 2 to 3 generations down the road where that is a full proven animal, when it's then the offspring paired to a normal is then proven once again, hence proving the morph. Of course, that can happen into a couple of different generations, depends on we're talking dominant co, incomplete dominant, recessive, allelic. There are a number of different things you have to do to kind of play around with proving that mutation, but none of those things means not talking about it, producing one offspring this year and then claiming it's yours. It's just a very arrogant take to put, and not only is it arrogant, but it's incorrect in this format, as we've stated before. So with that context in mind, I don't want you to put into the mindset of this is Josh's Frogs versus the Cave Kid and who's right. I want you to put in the mindset of what's really happening. The caretakers, the animal people, the small parts of full-time and part-time employees working on proving this project out, working years and years on it, trying to figure out, how it plays with each other. What can we do to make it better? Everything that really goes into proving that out for 5 to 6 years, right? You've been working on this, doing it the right way. Just to have some kid pop out one baby, or a couple of babies, one year of babies, and then claim it's theirs. Take the credit for that. Now, how would you feel in that scenario? What would you feel like? Personally, for me, I feel pretty shitty. I wouldn't feel good about myself and all the years I spent just for some kid to really steal my thunder in that scenario. At the end of the day, that's really why I decided to do this whole thing. It started out at some kid getting some people to talk shit about Josh's Frogs. I didn't think that was fair. But through this, month-long or so investigation, me digging deeper and deeper, I found this isn't just infecting, some company, some people talking shit. I didn't think that was fair. It's actually hurting some people's passion of putting this project, setting it right, doing the right things just to get pulled under the rug. Now, that's unfair. That's not right. And at the end of the day, I'm hoping to get those people a little bit of a step up and give them some credit for the hard work that they've been doing for these years and years. Not that some kid fucking found an adult gecko, paired it with a normal female, and got some babies trying to claim the credit. That's not right. At the end of the day, that's why I'm here to set the record straight. Summarize this long tangent of topic number 2, who done it first? Well, from what I can tell, Richie, but he didn't really care about it. He thought it was just an ambient pattern, not really trying to claim mutation, not trying to prove it out, wholesaling it out into the world, into where Josh's Frogs took it into their part to try to actually make something out of it and going through the right protocol to proving out a genetic mutation of this species. And then the Cave Kid did it once and took all the credit for it. That's kind of the timeline. From what I believe, Richie, Josh's Frogs, then the Cave Kid. That all out of the way, let's get into what the last topic at hand is. It's going to be number 3. What do we think really is? What is a genetic mutation? What's really going on with the line Q's cave gecko? At the end of the day, do I think it is a genetic mutation? I don't. I don't think it is. Cave Kid Gecko claims it is incomplete dominant because some have the pattern and then some don't. So it's just in his mind incomplete dominant, and I believe it is in his mind just as grasping at straws because he hasn't proven the line actually. He's just produced one set of offspring for it. So what do I really think it is? Actually seeing quite a few of these from different people. Again, I've seen him from Josh's Frogs, I've seen him from Richie, and now I've seen him from the Cave Kid. All of these things, I personally summarize it as what Richie was saying, an aberrant pattern, aberrant, whatever you call it, whatever the phrasing is for it. I find it very similar to California king snakes. You got the regular California and then the aberrant pattern. It's pretty much just a weird pattern, and it's sold as such, a little bit extra because it is a little bit of a funky pattern. I in no way, shape, or form believe this is the next thing in cave geckos, how it's being blown up as this huge thing, and no way, shape, or mind do I ever believe someone should spend $10,000, $500 on this little pattern-changing thing of the cave geckos. If there was ever a scam, this would be it, boys and girls. And to summarize that last part about the Morph Market certification, right? Because as always, once you're Morph Market certified, because right now we're all holding Morph Market in such high regards right now. So, well, that's another topic for another day. But the Morph Market certification, the cave gecko owns it. That means he's made the trait first. I dug a little deeper into that as well. I can summarize with the Morph Market certification you can kind of just make shit up with it. There's no investigation on the trade itself. You kind of just say what it is and they put it up there for the most part. I think Morph Market's job is just trying to put as much stuff as they can so stuff isn't left out, you know, with stuff. Let's talk about crested geckos for a second, right? All the new morphs coming out. You know, we've had lily white, cappuccinos, frappuccinos, sables, pixels, empty backs, you know, all these morphs coming out. They want to make sure those morphs are on their site because that's where business is going to go looking for those. And so at the end of the day, that's really what they're doing. They're just interested in what the trade is, you know, what you're saying it is, and who you are. That's about it. I tried to dig a little deeper, you know, I talked to Darian. Surprise, surprise. I'm sorry. I talked to him I tried to get some information from him. He sent me somewhere else. But at the end of the day, I think I had enough research into this video to make it, to not have to get in depth onto, you know, what goes into the Morph Market certification. You know, you take it with a grain of salt, I guess, and what my saying is. If you want to believe the Morph Market holds at a higher standard, go for it. I don't have the solid proof to state otherwise. However, from what I've heard around the block, it's really just a case of what I explained. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is this, in my opinion, is not a genetic mutation. Not enough work has been put into it to prove out what it actually is, at least in the... Let me back up. The line QS, I believe, is not a genetic mutation, not until it is proven out further. I believe this aberrant pattern that is everywhere, it's not just at this cave kid, is being sold for a fair price, not over there, but other places, and you can get them at other places. I think it's, but again, 3, 10, 15, whatever the price is, I believe they've all been taken down at this point. Too much heat's getting put on there. I in no way, shape, or form think that is a fair deal. It's a massive scam. Now, do I think the cave kid is maliciously scamming everyone? No, I don't. I don't think the kid, or the man, I don't know anything about this guy, if I'm being completely honest with you. Just for the business profile, the Instagram profile, and that. Here's my train of thought. Here's my summarization of this whole ordeal. I think he started out, you know, hasn't been doing it long apparently, or, well, not very long if we're talking about, you know, Josh's Frogs, Richie, in that context, not very long. Patched something out a little bit strange, you know, weird funky pattern, got very excited, kind of jumped the gun, and got a little cocky there, you know, you got big ego boost, you know, different thing going out, this is super exciting, you know, not a lot of people are doing caves, I got my stick in the game, man, I'm gonna be somebody, you know, starts sprouting that out there, but he gets chopped down because it's already been done. Ego gets struck a little bit, don't like that, started lashing out a little bit, and, well, got lost in the sauce, I guess, at the end of the day, but, well, what can you do? I guess there's a few things you could have done. In my opinion, if the dice were rolled to me and not him, a couple different things you could have done is say it was a line animal, kind of hinting more towards a phenotype animal instead of an actual genetic mutation that is claimed right now, to boastfully claim it is yours, and then when told otherwise, kind of be a little hard-headed and just continue on with that mindset that it is yours. And then the last straw is viciously attacking someone that obviously has been doing it longer than you and has more proof that they've been doing it longer than you. All of those things could have made a better look in the light of the public's eye, and probably would have made me not make this video. But choices were made, consequences were done. Everyone else's hands are not dirty, but by God, I love drama, and I love rolling in the mud with this kind of shit. Oh, there it is. Richie made it first. Or, well, Josh's Frogs worked on it first. Well, I mean, hell, there's probably 5 other people that have the same thing that have been doing it longer. The Cave Kid did not make this thing first. I honestly don't even think it's a thing. Today, I'm not here to smother and smear the Cave Kid's gecko reputation name. To be frank with you guys, I really just don't care for the kid, either one way or another. I just don't, it's not something I'm gonna waste my time or energy on. I'm barely in cave geckos as it is, really. At the end of the day, what I really care about is the fact that Josh's Frogs, more importantly, the employees, the reptile caretakers and the managers over at Josh's Frogs have been working on this project diligently. I want them to have the credit that they so deserve, instead of it being pulled under the rug. Thanks so much for taking the time of your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotics. Until the next piece of drama that comes out that I just can't not sink my teeth into, we'll just go back to the regular broadcasted gecko content. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, goodbye.